Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Sean from All Things EV, and this is my first impressions of the Audi e-tron. And I have to say, sort of bashfully, that this was my very first interaction with any sort of Audi up close. I guess maybe in a good way. I didn't have any preconceived notions, although I am coming as a Tesla owner looking at another electric vehicle. So I think I'll be able to provide some interesting insight to this particular vehicle. So let's go ahead and dive in. The first thing that I want to touch on is the size. It seems to be positioned size-wise between the Q5 and the Q7 and 8. The e-tron is shorter in length than the Q5, but not as wide or tall as the Q7 and Q8. The e-tron comes in at 193 inches long, 76 inches wide, and 66 inches high. For comparison, the e-tron is smaller than the Tesla Model X and larger than the Jaguar I-Pace. As far as the design, it definitely looks like an Audi, and they carried a lot of the design cues in their other vehicles over to the e-tron. For someone coming from a petrol-powered Audi, this car will look very familiar, as well as feel very familiar. They've kept a similar front grille, door handles, 10-inch infotainment display, MMI haptic feedback, MyAudi mobile app, Quattro all-wheel drive, and heads-up display. In terms of performance and power, this is a 95 kilowatt-hour battery pack, regardless of which package that you get. It comes with 150 kilowatt DC fast charging rate, 1,000 kilowatt hours of free charging through the Electrify America fast-growing charging network. The 0 to 60 miles per hour is 5.5 seconds. There is a 5-level air suspension, which I think is super cool. I actually didn't get to play around with that, and I regret doing that. Tesla's Model X and S only have 3 levels of air suspension. It comes with a 4,000-pound towing capacity. The total motor power output is about 300 kilowatts, or around 300 horses. Audi has not yet officially announced the EPA range, but the European WLPT range is said to be north of 249 miles. When Jaguar quoted their WLPT range at 292 miles, the EPA range ended up being about 20% less. Using the same estimate, the e-tron would likely shake out to north of 200 miles, but likely not as high as 250 miles. What about creature comforts? This was definitely something that I had a very high expectation for, and Audi definitely delivered on this end. I was extremely impressed with some of these creature comforts that you'll find in the e-tron that you do not find in any of Tesla's offerings. Their top-end e-tron package, the Prestige, offers a host of creature comforts like ventilated seats with massage functions. Now, the performance version of the Model S and X do offer ventilated seats, but they are absent of any massage functionality. The e-tron also comes with a top-grade, genuine leather Bang & Olufsen sound system, heads-up display, retractable shade for the panoramic sunroof, which, by the way, also is retractable, as well as customizable accent lighting. And the accent lighting was really something that gave it a very tech-forward feel, though very, very simple. Being able to customize the colors, to change them to different preferences was something that I thought was a very nice touch on their end. In terms of pricing for the e-tron, at its very basic level, it comes in just under $75,000 before any add-ons, bells and whistles, as well as before any federal or state tax credits. The curb weight for this vehicle is about 5,600 pounds, which likely means that the gross vehicle weight will push it above 6,000 pounds and unlock the $25,000 business Hummer tax credit here in the US. What are my first impressions of this vehicle? Well, I was extremely impressed when considering the total offering of this electric vehicle from Audi. Range and efficiency is not as great as a Tesla Model X, but it far exceeds Tesla in fit, finish, and creature comforts. I'm not terribly crazy about the dual screen system it has, as it seems like there is some redundancy in the features offered between both of the screens. And that being said, I understand Audi has to think about streamlining manufacturing across their entire vehicle fleet, as well as attracting their current customer base with something that they are familiar with. Charging infrastructure and network for the infotainment was either buried in the menu or non-existent. This is something that differs from Tesla in that Tesla makes it extremely easy to access the closest and nearby charging stations. This, however, is a simple software update on Audi's end to incorporate all of the third-party charging stations that are offered across the globe. Most people's charging needs, though, in the e-tron will be met with charging their vehicle at home in their garage, as well as the current and quickly growing CCS charging network across the US. At the end of the day, this is definitely a vehicle that, while at this event last night in Denver, I did find myself imagining and daydreaming about me owning this vehicle. To me, that's a really, really good sign because, in my opinion, and I realize that this is subjective and will vary depending on the type of person, the preference, and the expectations, I think the overall package that Audi is offering with the e-tron is something that a lot of people will really enjoy, and this is without me having gotten behind the wheel and onto the road and really tested the performance. I assume that with the electric drivetrain, it's going to be instant and on-demand torque and acceleration, as well as fantastic handling with the battery pack in the floor pan. So I would expect for that to deliver and perform extremely well. Audi has definitely knocked it out of the park with their first electric vehicle. And for those that are coming from Audi and other premium automakers, this will definitely feel right at home in terms of materials and fit and finish and quality. You really do feel like you're getting into a car that has been made with quality and luxury in mind. A huge thanks to Audi USA for inviting me to these 3 Denver experience events for the e-tron, and a special thanks to Prestige Imports Audi for allowing me to come in a little bit early and do some filming of the e-tron at their location. Sean Mitchell, All Things EV, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you're new to the channel, consider hitting subscribe, and if you're a regular, hit the like button, and I'll see everyone on the next video.